Well, hello there, folks, and a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. And it's lovely to see you all again, and I hope that I find you very well. So, today I've made these wonderful salted caramel shortcake cups. So, I'm just going to run you through how I'm making these, and I'll put the ingredients on the screen as I use them. And as usual, all of the ingredients will be underneath the video, just in case you want to come back and write them down. But this is what you're going to need for the biscuit base. It's going to give you a lovely melt in the mouth biscuit. So I've got some soft unsalted butter, I've got some plain flour, also some corn flour. I'm using sea salt and also some icing sugar, and then I've got a wee drop of vanilla as well. And then for the caramel, this is what you're going to need here. So just a few ingredients. So I've got some sweetened condensed milk, I've got some salted butter, this time some golden syrup and some soft brown sugar. I'm using dark sugar, but you can use light sugar. This is the condensed milk that I'm using, and just to top them off, I'm going to use these Cadbury Dairy Milk Mega Buttons. These are the largest milk buttons that I could find, and they just fit perfectly on the top. But you can, of course, just cover the whole thing in melted chocolate if you prefer. I'm going to use my hemisphere pan just because I haven't used it in such a long time. But if you haven't got one of these, don't worry, you can just make the big tray, and cut it into squares. Or if you've got a different mould, you can make these any shape you like. So the first thing we're going to do is make the biscuit base. So I'm starting off with some very soft butter. This is quite important. This is going to help give your biscuits a lovely melt in the mouth texture. On top of that, I'm going to put the icing sugar. I'm just going to run this through the sieve. Everything gets sifted a couple of times. Again, it's all about creating that lovely soft melt in the mouth, melt in the mouth biscuit. I'm going to pop some vanilla in as well. And then with an electric hand whisk, I'm just going to beat this for about 5 minutes, and it will turn lovely and pale and fluffy just like this. Just give it a wee stir around just to make sure you haven't missed anything on the bottom and it's all lovely and uniform, just like this. And then to this, we're going to add the dry ingredients. So we've got some plain flour and then obviously the corn flour as well. And that again is going to help give these a lovely airy texture. So I'm going to pop the flour and also the corn flour into the sieve, and I'm going to sieve these both together twice. And these steps are quite important. It might seem a wee bit faffy, but trust me, see, if you do this, your biscuits are going to be the most wonderful texture. So just run those through your sieve a couple of times. We are going to sieve them again when we add them to the wet ingredients, so that will be a total of 3 times your ingredients will have been sieved. Just push your wet ingredients down to make room for the sieve on the top, just to make sure it doesn't hit the sieve. And then just pop your mixture in there. I'm just going to do this in 2 stages because I've got too much for the sieve. So pop your first half in, run it through the sieve, and then just give it a good mix together. Be quite gentle with this. Just stir it around until it's just combined and no more, just like this. And then I'm going to pop the other half of my dry ingredients in. Again, just a gentle fold and mix together until it comes together and no more, just like this. You don't want to over mix this because you do not want to end up with a tough biscuit. So if it's looking something like that, you can then move on. I am going to add sea salt directly into the biscuit base. I like that because you get a nice wee surprise burst of salt, as you're biting into them. You don't have to do it this way. Some people prefer to put it into the caramel. I prefer to put it into the biscuit base, but you can do either. I'm going to use a wee scoop for the base, just to make sure I'm getting exactly the same amount in every one of my wee compartments there. I tried to use a potato scoop. It was too big, so I'm using a slightly smaller scoop. I'm also going to spray just with this cake release spray. I don't think this is necessary because this silicone tray is very non-stick and very flexible, but I'm going to do that. I've done that just to make sure they were going to come out. So pop your mixture into each of your wee cavities, push it down with your finger just to make sure it's right to the edge, so that when you put your caramel in, it doesn't all run down the side. So just be gentle with it. It's really, really easy, but it's quite sticky. So you might need to wet your finger a couple of times just to make sure it doesn't stick to your hands. But it is really easy. It just takes a few minutes. But like I said, if you're not using one of these moulds, just use the one big cake pan, a big square cake pan or a rectangle cake tin, you know, whatever you prefer. Pop this into the oven for between 15 and 20 minutes. Your temperatures are on the screen, as just so you can see, just to suit your own oven. And when they come out, they'll be looking something like this. There shouldn't be too much colour on these. They should just be starting to tinge on the edge, as you can see. And as you can also see, they're popping out really easily, so I was really happy about that. So while that's cooling slightly, go on and do your caramel. So you want to start off with a low heat just until you got all your ingredients in there. So start off with the butter. I'm using dark brown soft sugar, but you can use the light brown soft sugar if you prefer. And then on top of that, I'm going to put my sweetened condensed milk. And the last thing I'm going to add is the golden syrup. If you can't find golden syrup, or if it's not readily available where you are, you can get away with using light corn syrup. It's not quite the same, but it'll still work in a recipe like this. So you want to increase your heat until you get to a boil. So just stir all of your ingredients in just like this, and you want to keep stirring this for about 5 minutes. Don't walk away. Do keep stirring it because you do not want this to stick to your pan. Let this boil for between 5 and 6 minutes, and that'll give you the perfect chew. You know, you're going to have a lovely chewy caramel, and it's not going to be too runny, and it's not going to run all over the place, and it will set beautifully as well. So at the back there, I've got a jug. I'm just going to pop the caramel in there, and it's going to make it easier to fill these wee cavities. So I'm filling these almost all the way to the top, but not quite. I don't want it to flow over the top, so something like this is ideal. So just fill them until you're happy, and you might have a wee bit of caramel left. That goes fabulous with ice cream. You might have a few air bubbles as well, so just give your tray a wee tappy tap and just pop any bubbles that might rise to the surface. Just before it sets, I'm going to pop these giant buttons on, and don't worry if they look a bit raggedy and dry, because your caramel has still got a bit of heat in it. So as you can see, it has smoothed it off slightly on the top, and it doesn't look so dry. Pop these into the fridge until they set. It might take an hour, a couple of hours, it'll depend on your own fridge, but just look how easy these are popping out. And let me tell you, that biscuit base is just wonderful. It just melts in the mouth. It's got such a lovely texture. The caramel is lovely and chewy, you know, it's not brick hard. It is lovely and chewy. And then you've got your chocolate button on the top. But like I said in the beginning, you don't have to use these chocolate buttons. You can just melt some chocolate and just top the whole thing off with melted chocolate. It's up to you. They're yours at the end of the day. Do what you like with them. But do let me know if you're planning and giving those ones a go. And just before I leave you, I wanted to say a huge thank you as usual to the supporters of the channel over my Patreon page, to the channel members here on YouTube as well, and for you all for watching and leaving your lovely comments, and for those that share the videos as well. It's all very much appreciated. You know, I'm very lucky to have you all. I've got a wonderful wee community of folk. So yeah, you're all very much appreciated, and I'll catch up with you during the week for another wee recipe with our family, food unbagging, or back on Sunday for our meals of the week. But whenever you choose to join me again, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you off as soon back here on What's for Tea. Take care and bye for now. Bye now.